In this video, I want to talk about goal setting, conditions, and routines. And I think the first part about goal setting, I just have two thoughts because my main reflection is about conditions and habits. So, goal setting, I don't know how it's for you. I think it's very necessary for our spiritual life, but without putting any pressure or shame for not doing it or not doing it enough, I think it's a good reminder that goal settings are there for giving us a spiritual horizon, for giving us a vision of how to come closer to our own ideals that are hopefully God's ideals. So in that sense, it shouldn't be this heavy burden, this kind of like exam that we need to do at the end of the year, whatever you're studying or not, maybe it's a working exam, whatever, it's not that. I think anything that has to do with a horizon, it has a lot of beauty. When you see a landscape and you see the horizon, this is beauty. This is something exciting. This is something to contemplate and be excited about, already watching it, but about going in that direction. So let's not forget goal setting is about that. And then second, I think there is a process to goal setting. And the first part of this process is of contemplation, is of prayer, is of internal peace, is of silence, is of taking a walk. Because we want to be able to be in touch with our conscience, with our original minds, with the silent within us, with the silent of God. And this is not easy. We need to make space for this, whether it's a workshop, whether it's personal time, whether it's a long walk, which I love, and you can't see the background, but there is beautiful places to walk around here. First, we need that, because that's when we can gain that clarity. And once we have that clarity, we go into part two, which is the planning, the how to do this vision or inspiration that I just received. And the planning also is very important because it allows us to make it specific. It allows us also to be very creative, because creativity, as you probably know, doesn't have to be with these, just musicians or artists or this or that. It's like creativity is this also, and you are creative. And you want to be able to look at these visions that God has given you, or that your original mind has made aware for you, and you want to be creative on, okay, how can I achieve that? How can I, if you think of your dream house, okay, how can I get there? How can I make this the best house that I possibly can? And personally, I think this process, as with anything that has to do with spirituality, starts with the internal. You want to have that contemplation time, and then once that's clear, you want to have the planning. I have to confess that for me, it's much easier to get excited about the planning, about the steps, about the to-do list, about the Google calendars and all this stuff. And I need to be conscious of it, and to go back to the first part of contemplation, of peace. And maybe for you it's different, it's the other way around. You come out of a workshop with so much clarity and energy, and you fail to make the planning, to make the system, to make what is it that needs to be done, that you come with ideas to make it done, and stick to the plan. And lastly, about goal setting, is that it doesn't matter how much support, guidance, good advice you get for it. It is your personal process, and you need to make space for it. I would say at your own capacity, at your own structure. Maybe you have to work a lot, study a lot. Maybe the new year is not the best time for you, but I would really encourage you to make space for it, because, again, as I said, and I don't want to repeat myself too much, it should be this beautiful horizon you want to look at, and you want to have that kind of like image for yourself for the upcoming year, because spiritual life is a life full of intentions. It doesn't mean you get what you want. It doesn't mean you get what you intended to, but it should be clear what your intention is for what you do. Okay, so having said that about conditions and routines, so all these reflections that I am having, they started from one small experience I had last year. I was talking with another BC, or with a group of BCs, about this condition that I was doing. I think it was maybe cold showers and some fasting. But the point is that I remember at some point in the conversation, I was noticing myself that I was talking about these conditions as if they were some kind of like productivity hacks, or it was kind of like talking about work and how to be more efficient, and there wasn't much about the internal aspect of it, or how I just felt that maybe I was missing the sacredness of what is a condition. And also on the other side, maybe I wasn't too spiritual about my routines, about all these aspects of taking care of your body and being disciplined and so on. I think I was missing the point in both sides, right? And I think I felt the need to reflect and to distinguish both of them, or at least to understand the internal aspect of both of them. So this video is not an attempt to make kind of like these boxes for conditions and routines and habits and so on, but I think it is helpful to know where these processes come from and how we can really approach it with a spiritual point of view. So before getting into more detail, I think it's good that we clarify each one. So I think a condition, if we take it more from principle terms, comes from the understanding that we are in the midway position, right? That we have a tendency for good, we have a tendency for selfishness or for evil, and that our actions can be a condition to come closer to God's side, or to the other guy's side. So this is great. I think this is also a liberation for us, this understanding that we are not doomed for evil, or that goodness just happens. But it is also powerful because it gives us the responsibility to do something, to decide to do something that makes us closer to the side of God. In principle terms, to make a foundation to receive the Messiah, to receive new truth. So on the other side, routines, if I can give a very simple definition, it's something that we try to do every day or in a consistent basis to gain the desired result, right? We want to be healthy, we do a diet every day, or we do exercise for this amount of time and so on. And there is a specific result that we want to attain. So maybe it sounds very basic, but I think it's good to acknowledge that both a routine and a condition share this aspect of the three elements of a condition, right? There is the object of the condition, which is what you sacrifice, the amount of time, the action itself. There is the central figure, which is you, of course, or the person who performs the condition, and then there is a time period, right? And of course, the terminology can change for a routine, or it can be like slightly different, but the point is, if it's you who is trying to attain something, to gain something, to offer something, whether it's the condition or the routine, these three elements are present, and that's like a very basic overlap, right? Then the other side of the overlap is that both worlds, the worlds of condition and the worlds of routines, they need discipline. They need for you to at least do the thing that you say you would do, or the intention that you put into it. So that's clear. I think the discipline part and the three elements are clear. But I think now comes the natural distinction between two. And I think this is what really makes them, both worlds very different. And that is the world of attitude. For routines, I keep track of my routines. If I want to, I don't know, not watch too much YouTube, I tell myself, okay, I will not watch more than this amount of minutes. You can guess how many minutes are those. Anyway, this amount of minutes of YouTube a day. And if I've accomplished it, the day after I cross, in my calendar if I did it or not. So with different routines, different habits, each day I see if I've done it or not. And that's great. That's enough. That shows if I was successful in this routine and in this habit that I'm trying to build. But with a condition, I don't think it's enough to do this. I don't think it's enough that, I do a 7-day prayer condition, and to feel that the success it's on crossing if I did it or not. Of course, you need to keep track. You should know if you've done it before. That's very basic. If you're going to do it today, and so on and so on. You should keep track of your condition, because at the end you need this time period, right? That's one of the elements. But I think it cannot be this attitude that I just get it over with. If at some point the condition it's only about I just want to get it done with, I think something is missing there, right? And on the other side, as I was saying with routines, I think it's really okay if that's the case, because it brings you somewhere. It's bringing you somewhere. If you're trying to lose weight and in a way you just want to get it over with, you approach your diet and the exercise certain way, And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be good attitude towards routines, but what I'm saying is that for a condition to be successful or like to be artistic, it cannot just be about crossing the action or keeping track of it. And then we come to the second point, which is of result. If I am doing a routine, let's say I want to get stronger and I do, some push-ups every day without missing. I don't know if that's the best way, but anyway, for the example, I want to gain some core strength or whatever. If after 2 months of doing this, I have no results on what I wanted to achieve, if after 2 months of being in a diet, I'm not better, I didn't lose weight or gain weight or whatever it is that you want to accomplish, if that didn't happen, it's normal that I shouldn't follow this routine. I should change the routine. I should change it to different habits. I should look at the results and be like, this is not working. Or on the other side, you could say, oh, this is working, I should keep doing it. When I think of conditions, and I'll give the example of the last long condition I did, it was 40 days with some prayer and so on. For most of the time, it was quite challenging to get into the prayer. But not challenging because of the time or because of the discipline, It was hard to express artistically or to have the, let's say, the emotion in the prayer, like this deep connection with the object of the prayer, with the subject of the prayer. And that was kind of like a tension within, right? But I didn't question that it's okay that it's hot, because differently to what a routine should bring, which is clear results, I think a condition benefits from the aspect of faith. I set up this condition for, these reasons that I had, these strong reasons that I wanted to change this or that I wanted to come closer to God in this aspect. And through the process, once I'm engaging, it's kind of like a back and forth of, but is this good enough? Am I trying enough? Am I showing enough heart? Am I really expressing what should be expressed through these prayers? Am I being honest enough? It's kind of like this back and forth. And when you don't feel you're gaining much, it's not about putting it like to say, oh, this was for nothing. Is to be like, okay, I need to have more faith. I don't know if more faith, but I need to have faith that what I'm offering is the best that I can, or at least it has the best heart. So I had this powerful experience at the end of this condition. It was really, I think, the last day or the day before, that I feel like everything that I didn't, let's say, experience through prayer, it came on those last 2 days. I was just filled with inspiration, filled with visions, filled with horizons, spiritual horizons, as I was saying at the beginning. And yeah, of course I was so grateful, but at the same time I was like, okay, that's why I needed faith. Like, I needed faith for this moment. I needed to end the condition in a way that it didn't matter if, all these inspirations and love would come to me. I would have the faith that this is my offering to God. So I think you can see the point that I'm trying to make, that with routines, I think it is okay to go about the result because, it should be of benefit. But with conditions, it is not so clear what is it that God wants to show us. It is not so clear, and it shouldn't be clear in a sense. It should require of us a bit of faith, and it should require of us of humility, because if we are trying to get closer to God, it's because in this moment we are not. It means we are not. So therefore, what we are doing, this condition, it means that's the process that would lead us there, and only God knows how that will be. But we put faith in this, right? In this, let's say, sacrifice, in this offering, so that we can get there. And lastly, I want to talk about the privacy of conditions, or let's say the approach to privacy in conditions and routines. And first, we really need to be honest with ourselves that when we know that other people are looking at us, are listening to us, most of the times our behavior will change and will adjust to the people around us. And although this is very helpful for many ways, for for our society, I think it can also damage, or it can shift our actions in a way that are not the best. If, for example, you cook a meal for your family and you're just obsessed about the compliments that you will get, I don't think you can pour all your heart into this meal. Or if you do it, I think the outcome of it for you internally will be very different. If you're just obsessed of getting the approval of your family or your friends. And also in the other side, if you are too obsessed or you're too scared that someone will give bad feedback or negative feedback about something, right? We just have this mental space where we are not sure how to act because other people are there. And I think, with conditions, it should be protected. We should protect the purity of our conditions to the point that I think it is very healthy to feel that it doesn't matter if someone will ever know about this. It really doesn't matter. But I'm going to do it, and I'm going to offer it to God. And I don't know if Abraham knew that his offering, the offering of his son would have these consequences, or even Jesus' offering in the cross. If he knew that this would be known for the whole world, actually. So I just want to make, it's a bit paradoxical, because probably the best, most beautiful conditions, they have an impact on the people around you, but your heart or your attitude towards it is that you're okay. You don't need to show it to anybody. And that's how I related to the first experience that I was sharing, that it just felt a bit off to share it in such a casual way. I say this because, in contrast, I think our routine and habits, it can actually be very helpful to share it with other people. Imagine you're with a friend and both of you are training for a competition, and it is good to have accountability with each other. You can share your processes, you can say what works for you, what doesn't. There can be competition, there can be healthy competition about what you're trying to build. Imagine again, even it can even be with your work, right? Like you want to maybe get a promotion and you're working hard on this and that, and then you express it to other people. Of course, it shouldn't be from the ego part of view, it should be from the expressive point of view, that you want to share openly. You are not trying to boost, you're not trying to show off, you're not trying to let other people think they are worse than you or better than you, but you express honestly. But as I said, in a condition, I think this needs to be very clear, that you don't have that necessity of going around and sharing how it was, and probably not because of the other people, but because of you. You want to feel secure in what is God's blessing to you. So I am not saying that there should be limits to how we express our internal world, but I think often I felt it was too early to share. It was too early for me to share this experience that I had in prayer, or this condition that I did. I think it's good to take some distance to, let's say, first take the blessing, to understand the meaning that was behind, and then you can share it more freely with others, so that it's not, it's not lost what the condition was about. So I hope these thoughts are helpful, this part of attitude, of result, of privacy in both conditions and routines. And I just want to end a little bit how I started. I think anything we do is about approaching it with a spiritual point of view, where the internal is first, where there is a gain for your spirit, where your soul can grow regardless. And I think the physical aspect of things, you can call it logistical, practical, also even the body, we could call it external, even though, it is your temple and you want to take care of it as something sacred. But in this distinction of secular and spiritual, everything can be spiritual, right? Everything can be something that allow us to live a more fulfilled life, or a life that is more for God and for goodness. And for that, I really like Father's approach and many other people in this world, which is to always see the greater purpose. Even if you're doing something for yourself to serve your own desires, like food, shelter, the basic needs, to have this mentality that, okay, I'm eating this food so that I can serve other people. I am having this job and I'm gaining this extra money so that I can offer it, so that I can maybe do a bigger tithing, or that I can have more space for my family, for my community, for strangers, for people that I don't even know. And I think with this mentality of greater purpose, in a way, there's no way it's not spiritual. If we stop putting ourselves as the ultimate reason of why we do things, then we can finally come to love the world, right? And I think it is connected to goal settings, it is connected to the beginning of the year, but it's just connected to our day-to-day, to each interaction that we have with each other, with our interaction with our inner part and with God. So I encourage you to start the year well, and hopefully I could say something of value. And yeah, God bless you. All the best with your goal settings, your conditions, and your routine. See you next time.